In the past several weeks, we have seen our national political leaders speak of immigrants, refugees, and our erstwhile greatest allies in disparaging and dehumanizing terms. Legal immigrants and visa holders are being detained without trial for weeks at a time in inhumane conditions and deported or even disappeared. At the same time, countless references, articles, and other documentation regarding the unique contributions to the history and culture of our nation of women and trans, gay, Black, Asian American, and Indigenous peoples are being redacted or removed from government websites. Programs that have protected democracy and the most vulnerable, both within the United States and around the world, are being hamstrung or eliminated altogether. Canada, Europe, and Japan have all issued notices to their citizens warning them of the uncertainty and dangers that crossing our borders pose. For many of us, it feels like we are living in some nightmare that we cannot wake up from. And it is easy in this context to feel we have been abandoned by God, or that these are the darkest times humanity has ever faced. It is easy to lose not just faith, but hope, and to turn from love towards fear and hatred. But when we do this, we fall into the trap of idolatry. Now, when we hear this word, idolatry, we think in terms of images of non-Christian deities carved from wood or stone or cast in metal. Or, for those raised in the Baptist or other iconoclastic Protestant traditions, images of the saints or any human persons. But when we look to the ancient world, idols were represented by these images. But this true sin of idolatry was about control of the natural world and a reward and punishment relationship with the divine. That is, idolatry was about wrong relationship, one built not on love and respect, but rather transaction. If you offered the right sacrifice of grain, wine, meat, or even people to the divinity, then you would be protected against cataclysm and would be rewarded with prosperity. These divinities were like corrupt government officials who needed to be appeased through bribery. But that is not the relationship between God and God's people, as the gospel makes clear today. Bad things happen because this world is imperfect. Nature is subject to its own laws, and selfish people choose their own short-term benefits over the common good. Whether we live righteous lives or contemptuous ones, we are all subject to forces beyond our control. Our relationship with God does not free us from these realities, but our relationship with God can free us from the debilitating impact of them. The story of Moses leading the Hebrew people out of Egypt is the story of the powerless, slaves, people who were not even seen as people by those around them, people whose lives were seen as less consequential than those of livestock, rebelling against the greatest empire of their day. And it is the story of the divine being in relation with these people, of being with them through the darkness and leading them into the light. And it is a story that has always been a source for hope and continued faith for believers in times of great darkness. The story of the Exodus brought hope to the people of Israel, the Samaritans, after the fall of their kingdom to the Assyrians. The story of the Exodus kept hope alive for the Judahites when they spent decades in exile in Babylon. The story of the Exodus maintained the Jewish identity through centuries of occupation, the diaspora, pogroms, and the Holocaust. The story of the Exodus allowed African Americans, men and women descended from countless different African peoples, to become one people through the harrowing experiences of slavery, lynching, apartheid, prejudice, and discrimination. God was with all of these people as they endured this inhumane treatment. God is with all of God's children today as they experience the horrors that we continue to inflict upon one another. And while we as citizens of these United States, especially as white, cisgendered, and straight people, have convinced ourselves that we are somehow immune from these horrors, But through our taxes, our birthrights, and our right behaviors, we have inoculated ourselves. As long as we live in this world, we are vulnerable. And we are called upon to see in those suffering around us ourselves, and to speak out on their behalf. To, like Moses, protest on behalf of our fellow children of God, to be the voice for the voiceless, and to recognize in the darkest times the Spirit of God still burning with the unquenchable blaze of that ancient bush in our midst, to continue to love one another as ourselves.